What is up, guys? It is KikiZilla101 here yet again, and welcome back to Kiki and Coffee, the show where we casually talk about stuff and put in as minimal effort as possible while we drink coffee. So grab your coffee, tea, or other preferred beverage, and let's get straight into the video. I still have really good caramel creamer. High quality stuff right there. Anyways, today we're going to be continuing the Adult Collector mini-series here on Kiki and Coffee, and today we're going to be talking about PNSO. PNSO has been a figure company I have been really late to the party on compared to a lot of other people. They have been around for a very long time, making really high quality museum grade models and some various minifigures and even medium-sized figures. I don't have anything to display for you here, unfortunately, because I don't really own any. But if you want an example, they have an ankylosaurus named Seda, or as I like to call her, Seed, as myself and my friends like to call her, Seed. But that is a really nice little medium-sized ankylosaurus. PNSO is really interesting. They have very high quality stuff, very great range of things. I mean, I think one of their mottos is like toys that accompany your growth, or something like that. They basically have different models for different stages of collectors. They have little toys for little kids, they have medium things for teenagers, and then they have the really high quality models for adult collectors like myself and other people who want to take the hobby really seriously and want something that's really nice and will really stand out. They're obviously way more expensive, but they're way higher in quality. I have two examples of that with Lucas the Giganotosaurus and Essien the Spinosaurus, which is another really cool thing, is that they actually give all their dinosaurs names. At first this turned myself off, and I know that it turned off a lot of other people, but in general, it is pretty fun. And I actually think I've grown to like it, because it does give the figures character, it gives them a unique personality, helps them stand out a little bit more, and it does go with their whole goal of trying to make them dinosaurs that accompany your growth. So, you know, them growing up with you is kind of cool. It's a cool concept. Now, PNSO is a Chinese company. Very high quality Chinese company. I feel like whenever people hear the word China or Chinese in association with toys or figurines, they think it's bad. Almost everything's made in China, guys. Like, all your favorite companies have their stuff made in China. And this is just a Chinese company with figures made in China. And they do pretty good stuff. Like, not only just pretty good stuff, they do really good stuff. They have really nice models. Now, that's not to say that they're perfect, and in fact, that's where one of my main issues with PNSO comes, because they do claim that they're museum scientific models, which is kind of funny and almost hypocritical, because they put in their boxes with these big models, they give you little pamphlets or like little booklets, and in both of these cases, they have skeletals, of the animals, they have a skeletal that does not match up with the model that I got, and is more accurate compared to the model that you get. PNSO always has this specific style to their figurines, in particular their statues. They always have this grittiness, this real dirty, aged, weathered, experienced vibe that you get from their figurines, which is really nice. It really makes them feel like a real animal that's really been in the hustle and bustle of life. But at the same time, they always have really weird quirks. I have still, to this day, struggled to find a single figure from PNSO that's 100% accurate. At least their statues. The closest thing is probably the Yanchuanosaurus. That one's pretty good. But their smaller stuff, you can find some really good stuff there, but even those guys usually have some tiny quirks with them. This one's an exception. I don't think this one has too much of a quirk besides the position of its tail. That still technically counts as a quirk. You'll have shrink wrapping out of nowhere, really weird anatomical inaccuracies that just make absolutely no sense, like opposable thumbs on the Spinosaurus, which is just something that has never been inferred and never really should be inferred unless something that we discover. So not really sure why they gave Spinosaurus opposable thumbs. This Giganotosaurus has an abnormally thin skull, but the lateral profile view of its skull is quite accurate, like to the more recent skull structures. But then you look at it from the front and it's thinner, it's like paper thin. It's even thinner than a Carcharodontosaurus skull. So it's like, what were they using as a reference? And then it's got the weird backline thing, and you have various like malnourishing problems with this Spinosaurus here, and some eye placement issues and whatnot. They always have their quirks, is what I'm trying to say. So for something that is a scientific art model or a museum quality model, they have a lot of inaccuracies, and they're pretty inconsistent about that. I wouldn't consider PNSO a very reliable source. I wouldn't even say they're more reliable than Papo. I think that they do some things better than Papo, in particular in their smaller range, but when it comes to their bigger stuff, I don't really think they're out of the boat there. I think they're pretty similar in the most part. That's not to say that they're not higher quality than Papo, because I think these statues definitely are, but they're also a higher price point, so there's a difference there. Now, one thing that bugs me with how expensive these guys are and how high quality they are is just how loose some of their jaws can be. Like, if you can see how weakly I'm flicking this. Oh, there you go. You can kind of see how it won't even hold its position sometimes. Sometimes it will. But you can also just kind of like scoot its mouth into place and squish it, and it will actually lock. So there's that. But in general, the jaws are kind of flimsy, and I honestly feel like if you just twisted it, it'd break. I'm really nervous about that, and so I never like play around with the jaws. But they definitely have some weaknesses to them in that aspect. They come with really nice bases, very nice bases, like this one here, which has like some really cool rock strata on the side almost, and then it has a lot of dry lake bed and some like plants and some bones. Like, even seems to have a Diplodocus skull there, which is a little interesting, given that Diplodocus didn't live with the Giganotosaurus, but maybe they were intending it to be a Margosaurus skull. And again, that one didn't live with Giganotosaurus either. Could be just some other Diplodocoid. The smaller models, some of the first ones I ever got were actually these tiny little babies. I have a baby trike and a baby T-Rex, and these are actually really nice little models. They're fairly accurate. Like, most of PNSO stuff is fairly accurate. I don't want you to get the impression that they're not accurate, but they definitely have a lot of quirks to them, especially the larger models are particularly less accurate than a lot of their smaller stuff. But the babies just have really nice style. I mean, this one is one of the main stars of Mesozoic Isle, my show. So if you want to go check this guy out, go watch Mesozoic Isle. He's in action there. He looks really good on screen. This one is also going to be in Mesozoic Isle. You just haven't seen it yet because episode 3 hasn't come out yet, which is still in production, so don't ask me about it in the comment section. It will be butting its way into the daily schedule as soon as it's done. It's very close, guys, very close. Just give me a little bit. Anyways, and they also have like scaled down normal models like this Allosaurus, which is a really nice model. Unfortunately, a lot of their smaller models have this warping issue where you run into like the base just not like staying up, and they're very thin and bendy plastic, so unfortunately it just doesn't really stand up well. Then they also have miniatures like this, which is Becky the Ophthalmosaurus. Really love this. It has a lot of inaccuracies to it, of course. I mean, the body shape is just off in general way too long of a tail, way too thin of a body. It's almost like a Basilosaurus or something. 1 second. Totally yeeted Becky off the thing there. And then here's two of some of their best models and some of their fan favorites. And they're very cheap. The Nemicolopterus and the Anchiornis. The Anchiornis is my personal favorite out of all of these, I believe. I love this thing. It's just beautiful, extremely well sculpted, and has a really nice base. I'm going to have to get around to reviewing this one at some point very soon. The Nemicolopterus is absolutely stunning itself. It's a very popular figure, and for very good reason. It's very well done. It has accuracy issues in itself with some really weird feet that it's like walking on its ankles, which just doesn't make any sense, but in general, there's just a lot of really interesting diversity you can get with PNSO, and I think they're quickly climbing up to be a very considerable company in terms of competition for other figure companies. We still have the big four. I still firmly believe that those are not solidly contested at the moment. Safari Ltd, Collecta, Papo, and Schleich. Those guys dominate the markets. They're the only ones you consistently find in many different places, in stores and stuff. They have a lot of those deals where they sell things to stores, and they're sold in like gift shops and museums and stuff like that. They're sold in bulk, and they're vastly popular. PNSO is still getting pretty popular, and it has a lot of stuff for sure, but I still feel like they're mostly a web exclusive. Maybe in China they're a little bit more common in person. However, in stores, it's a little bit more difficult to get a hold of them. You probably could find them in some like comic book shops or something like that, or scientific stores. Maybe you'll be able to find a couple there, but I'm pretty dang sure it's not going to be in large number. So they're still not quite there, but they are creeping up on it. And if anything, I think they're probably the ones that have one of the most potentials. Them and Beast of the Mesozoic are the ones that are showing up in stores more than a lot of the other companies. I actually think Beast of the Mesozoic probably has these guys beat out, because Beast of the Mesozoic has been showing up in a lot of those comic book stores and stuff like that. So, but anyways, PNSO is a really cool company. I cannot recommend and stress you guys to get into them enough. I waited on them too long. I first got into them with just these two little minifigures. Eventually got into these bigger guys. Even though they have their quirks, they are stunning pieces, and they are really great. They just really capture your attention. They hold their own on the collection as a whole on the shelf. Really stunning stuff. Essien is amazing. I'm really happy I got a hold of him. Lucas, I feel like, is objectively a better figurine, and it has a much more sturdy base, but I do think I slightly prefer Essien at this point, but I'm not sure. I really like them both. They're really nice. But you also have these really great minifigures, which you have like no excuse not picking up. They're so cheap, they're so easy to get a hold of. They're on Amazon for like under $10 a piece, and you're getting really high quality stuff. And on Mini-Zoo, you can get these guys for even cheaper. They get really low prices there. And I personally recommend the Anchiornis and the Nemicolopterus are really great pieces you just can't go wrong with. So I really highly recommend you guys check those ones out in particular. But yeah, PNSO is a really interesting company. I think more people need to get into them. I think more people need to pay attention to them. They're making a name for themselves for sure. They have more figures that are going to be on the way here for this year. They're going to be revealing them pretty soon. I think Dan's Dinosaurs revealed some silhouettes of the new ones or something like that. So there's going to be some cool ones just over the horizon. So I would say there's no better time to get into PNSO than right now. And honestly, start small. If you like these things and you find them high quality, then go ahead and take a step up. You can get the more medium stuff. There's like Seta. I think there's like a couple like Stegosaurs or something like that. There's quite a few different options you can get. And then finally, you have the bigger models. Just work your way up. Work your way up the chain, and I think you're going to really like PNSO. If you don't like them down here, and you think you might like the next step up, and if you go to the middle-sized figures and you think there's something there you might like, go ahead and try it out. If you're not happy with that, then probably don't go up to this level. These are going to be a lot more expensive, and they're just not going to be your style if you're still not into it by the second size range. But I highly encourage you guys to at least try PNSO out. There's so much great stuff to be had here, and a lot of great potential. So, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.